Welcome to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. Each week, She Rebel Radio brings you insights and advice from women entrepreneurs who transformed their prestige prisons into daring entrepreneurial success stories. Now, here is your host, Lulu Minns.
Welcome to episode 29 of She Rebel Radio, why you need to get your emotional house in order. Hola on my return from Mexico. It's amazing to be back with you on She Rebel Radio, and today is also Valentine's Day, so the perfect day to talk about why it is that you need to get your emotional house in order. Now, I had an amazing time in Mexico. I've had great feedback from you in respect of She Rebel Radio. We had 35% growth last month. So please keep listening, please keep sharing, and please keep giving your amazing feedback to me, and even better, to jump on whichever platform you listen to She Rebel Radio on and leave us a review there. That would be so appreciated. Now, I went back to Mexico. I first went to Mexico some 15 years ago when I first started working full-time after finishing all my legal studies and all of that jazz and securing my training contract to train to become a solicitor. I went out to Mexico and traveled around. So it was great to be back. It felt like a bit of a pilgrimage back there. Last time I was there, I did a lot of the Mayan temples. And, you know, it's since that time that I found out that the Mayan culture really predicted this, you know, change and transformation that we're seeing that started in around 2012, which underpins a lot of women rising and the feminine rising. So it was really good to be back in Mexico. For the first 5 days, I was at a business retreat being supported in my business. Remember, ladies, I always practice what I preach and am fully supported in my business and my growth and personal development and business development and all of that jazz. And then I could not go all of that way on an 11-hour flight and simply spend 5 days at a business retreat. I needed to do something else. So I followed my intuition, and thank you so much for your feedback on episode 27. I followed my intuition, not my instinct, to go halfway across Mexico. I didn't think it would be that far away, and it was 2 flights and, a good 5 or 6 hours away, which wasn't so bad on the transfer day, but it was when I was trying to get back to the UK. It took me 36 hours. So an incredible yoga retreat, and with incredible people, majority women, but not all, and, you know, women in amazing, prestigious positions, just like you, from incredible backgrounds, and, you know, having this real shift and transformation. So thank you to all of you amazing people that were at that retreat. Big shout out to Yvonne and Megan, and love to you. And I'm not going to share any more about where the retreat was or who was hosting here. If you want to know any more about it, then by all means contact me, but at the moment it's my little secret. But I got to thinking whilst I was away, that was a bit of a Carrie Bradshaw moment. I got to thinking that over the last 4 years, but maybe even 5, I have taken care of my emotional house and got myself onto a yoga retreat at least once a year. Starting in 2017, I actually went to 2. I went to one in Goa and one in Croatia, but they were kind of short, 4 or 5 days. And then I went back to Goa in 2018, had a good, week doing yoga and stuff before my clients came out. I did one in Sussex last year in 2019. Big shout out to Gems Yoga with Gemma. And then this year in Mexico, 2020 in Mexico, one of my favorite places in the world. So it's really important. It's been really important to me in my transformational journey that I have done the work to get my emotional house in order, and that I continue to do that work, that work is never done. So I wanted to share with you today on Valentine's Day, which we're very, commercialized. This is about, someone else loving us. And it's actually about self-love. And it's about, and sorry to use the buzzword there, I'm not really one for buzzwords, but getting your emotional house in order is so crucial to your business of significance. And that is what I'm going to share with you today. And that is why it's something that I've naturally found myself doing. It's not even kind of a deliberate intention that I've set. Now it might be, actually, I need to go on 2 yoga retreats a year, because your emotional house is so important. And I was really excited actually that I was going in January, because generally my energy is a bit lower in January and February. So I need that time to process. I need to get down with getting my emotional house and my emotional body in check. Now, your emotional body, we've got our physical body, but our emotional body is the kind of invisible bits, the energetic body underneath that. And the word emotions is something that we're so often tarnished with as women, that we are emotional beings. And quite often when I have this conversation with women in prestigious positions, there's a kind of laugh and a joke that there needs to be more crying in the boardroom. And that is not what this is about. That's a misconception. Emotions means energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. Okay. And that is something that traditionally, as I said, women we've been tarnished with, that we're too emotional. We were too emotional to be in the legal profession, too emotional to be in all sorts of prestigious positions, too emotional to be in football. Check out last week's episode where we were banned medically by not being fit by the FA, because we're emotional beings and not logical ones. How wrong is that? But a consequence of that, and the consequence of patriarchal society that we live in, is that emotions are seen as negative, i.e. we need more crying in the boardroom. We've seen impact that this lack of emotion, because as human beings, we are all emotional, but this lack of emotion, or being allowed to be emotional, has had on men, in particular in mental health, but it's also having a huge impact on us as women in prestigious positions within our businesses of significance. And the reason for that is, put your hands up if you were told you were too emotional as a child, or, that it was generally a negative thing, a sign of weakness, like so many things that are associated with more of a feminine body, a feminine identification, etc. But emotions, energy in motion, are a power source of everything. And they're a power source of your business, because a business of significance is driven by emotions. So if you're not taking care of that, ladies, then you're not taking care of business. And if you leave this episode with nothing else but that, if I'm not taking care of my emotions and my emotional house, you ain't taking care of business, sister. It's as simple as that. And I know, coming from my prestigious position as a lawyer, that was not what I was taught. That was not what I was conditioned to do. And in fact, in that job, because I was in criminal defence, those of you that don't know, those of you that I'm honoured to share with you every week know my background, that it took a lot of actually turning emotions off to deal with the things that we were dealing with day to day, and a lot of heart-based energy shut off. And I'm trained as a multiple braining coach, which is head, heart and gut. And Lizzie, who's been on this episode, been on the podcast talking about blue space, she's a trainer within that, and I know the work that she has done with legal professionals, judges, etc., in terms of heart space, because emotions are taken out of courtrooms. They are taken out of the legal profession for the most part, full stop. And as I said, we tie this with, we need more tears in the boardroom. Emotions, who said emotions is something that, is about crying? It may well be. I'm not saying that it's not, but there are good emotions, really positive emotions that can drive your business. And there are ones that are associated more negatively that are not so good. But hey, they can actually be a massive driver for your business. If you've listened to She Rebel Radio over the last 5 months, and as I said, 35% growth, thank you so much to all of you who keep on returning for these episodes, you will have heard from many of our guests that there can be some degree of anger or adversity that draws us to a business of significance, a business for good. Where we had Sarah from the Good Business Club with us, that a lot of the entrepreneurs that she's worked with, there's some kind of adversity or bad experience. As women, often I say some kind of initiation. I was talking at the Breakout Strategy Workshop with my clients, and the amazing women were there, that there comes this kind of initiation for women before they step into their business of significance. And that is why this emotion, this experience is the driver of our business. But what we can often do is hit the default button, which can sometimes be a coping mechanism. It can even be a response to trauma, which without the heavy weight on that word, we all have traumas in all sorts of ways, to go back into the mind and be safe within the mind. And women in prestigious positions that have come from prestigious positions, we've had a shitload to prove, ladies. We have had a lot to prove, and we have often moved out of the emotional house and into the mind in order to prove that and prove ourselves in a business world designed by men for men, in a patriarchal world, which by that I mean is one that favors the masculine over the feminine. We all have masculine and feminine energy. So the knock-on effect of that is not just negative for us, it's negative for men too. But as this is a space for women stepping into their business of significance, I really want you to check in here with how much you are not taking care of your emotional house, and you are trying to fix everything with the mind, with learning more strategy, with learning more mindset. All of that stuff has a really good place, but it's not going to help you if you are not taking care of your emotional house and your emotional body, which implies that there is some degree of embodiment here. Because there is an emotional body as much as you have as a physical body. And so many of you are not even taking care of the physical body, let alone the emotional one. There are real layers there. And you need to create the space for yourself to process those emotions, that energy in motion, and to look after and take care of that house, that emotional house. And to do that, you need space in the physical body. The body is a vessel for us to process and move things through. And it is so beautifully designed to do that. And it takes only 7 seconds for an emotion to pass through. So you can imagine you do an hour's yoga, the stuff that you can process and move through. As I said in February, I'm doing a lot of that. I've been to yoga this morning, and I might go back to yin yoga this evening because I'm doing a lot of processing and moving stuff through in my period of contraction over the winter, getting ready for that period of significance, greater significance and expansion moving forward in the spring and summer months. So there is that connection between the body and mind. There is that connection between the emotional body and the mind. So how much of it, ladies, are you trying to fix with the mind? I think it was Einstein who said you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it, i.e. you finding yourself in a prestigious position where you are no longer fulfilled and happy, where you didn't actually feel like you were making any significant change in the world, and you were possibly suffering through burnout and fatigue and all of that stuff. You need to take care of that first. And again, I see women having burnout, coming out of their position of prestige and getting stuck in to all the how-tos and the do's of their business of significance, which I know is not going to work for them until they take care of their emotional house first. Clients that work with me know my strict instructions are yoga, meditation. And those that do that, I tell you this now, get the transformation far quicker because they're taking care of their emotional house. It's the thing that you have to, ladies, you have to take care of, because remember that it is emotions that drive your business of significance. That can be good emotions or the adverse ones. And it's fine if it's the adverse ones, but you need to process and move those emotions through and let go of those experiences and things that you've had and embody. And you start to hold yourself differently and carry yourself differently and feel different when you take care of your emotional house. So I'm preaching with you today, sisters. That is for sure. And I wanted to share with you before I hop off the very last places on the Space and Significance retreat with me in Devon and the amazing Gems Yoga, who is an incredible yoga teacher, where you are going to get support for taking care of your emotional house, ladies. And I've explained to you exactly why. And another reason I wanted to do this episode actually is why I've spoken to some women who wanted to come or want to come to that retreat, and the excuses that come up. I can't afford a holiday right now. This isn't a holiday. This is taking care of your emotional house and embodying the change that you need to move forward in the new decade, with coaching support from me, with yoga support from Gemma, who is incredible. This is going to be everything you need to really step into your business of significance in 2020, the start of a new decade, ladies. So that is why you need to take your emotional, you need to get your emotional house in order. And we have just the event for you. Very last remaining spaces are open. Book a connection call with me. Let's have a chat about how this retreat would fit your needs, and we would love to see you there. It's been amazing to be back and to share this with you on my return from Mexico, and big happy Valentine's to you. Please keep listening. Please keep sharing. And if the Space and Significance retreat is somewhere where you can take place of your emotional house, take care of it, then I would love to hear from you. Let's have a conversation.
Thanks for listening to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. She Rebel Radio is executive produced and hosted by women's advocate and coach Lulu Minns. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. You can find Lulu Minns on Facebook and LinkedIn at Lulu Minns, and on Instagram at LuluMinns_biz. Until next week, keep rebelling against the rules and designing success your way.